You've talked a lot about how you're welcoming people, or you want people to welcome you into their home when you're on the air and TV. You obviously take your job very seriously. But even sitting here now, you're very funny. You hosted Saturday Night Live. You're on Letterman. You're on Jimmy Fallon. You're a very funny guy. Are those things an outlet for you? Because the news most of the time is pretty serious. You might have a story that's humorous or a feel-good story, but unfortunately sometimes the news, the first several stories, are not stories that are easy stories to deliver. How much does the comedic side of you allow you to let some steam off a little bit?
Well, I guess I do need an outlet. I mean, guys like Dave Letterman's been nice enough to have me on something like 20 times, and Stewart, and it's very nice of them to see any possibility in me, but at the same time, you know, I sweated the decision to host Saturday Night Live. I think I walked around with that for a year and a half before I gave Lorne Michaels an answer. And I know I dragged it out too long, but my fear was, been working over 20 years in this line of work, are you going to flush down the toilet all the credibility you've worked so hard to build up? People aren't just one dimension, and especially in the post 9/11 era, this half hour of news we do every night, to your point, is pretty serious stuff. But that's not entirely who I am. Our viewers have been very good about it. They don't get confused. They see me hosting Saturday Night Live. They realize that's Saturday Night Live, 11:30 on Saturday nights. They see me sitting next to Dave or Jay or Jimmy or John. We should get some other consonants in there. Remind me. They know that we're just two guys hopefully having a little fun, and we're talking about other aspects of life and sometimes my work.
I have to ask you, and maybe this is just a guilty pleasure for me, when Jimmy Fallon on his show takes some of your words and mashes them together into a rap song, do you sit there and marvel at it, and it works? I mean, it works. It sounds like you are NWA for those 59 seconds.
It's unbelievable. Twitter lights up. I have not met this poor young soul who is assigned to watch hundreds of hours. I look at it and I remember ties I no longer own. I look at the progression of my haircut, whether I shave that day, if I'm in the Los Angeles bureau, if I'm overseas. I look at whether I'm happy or sad, whether I've had enough rest. And they find these little snippets. It's an unbelievable thing. But again, people come up to me as if that's my doing. And every time a new one hits, it has this long, long life on the web. They are a brilliant show that way, and I'm very excited when he takes over for Jay at 11:35 on weeknights to see what he has in store for me.
You mentioned Letterman, and you've been a frequent guest on Letterman. You told a story not too long ago about, I would guess, maybe one of the most harrowing situations you've ever been when you've been on assignment. What was that like, to be where you were, to be stuck there for a few days, no communication? I wonder if you could fill us in on that.
Start of the Iraq War. I was with an Army air unit, and we kind of unknowingly found ourselves some of the northernmost forces in Iraq before the 3rd Infantry, the tip of the spear, came up with the invasion. This was not unnoticed by the local Iraqis. We took an RPG through the tail rotor of our Chinook, our twin-rotor Chinook. We were traveling in a group of 3 helicopters. Our job was to drop huge bridge sections over the Euphrates where the invasion was going to go. We'd all been sworn to secrecy. We'd all seen the war plan, not uncommon among journalists, especially covering combat. We had a hard landing. I am very happy to have survived it. And we were, luckily, as the guys came to kill us, because they were only a mile downrange when we landed, we were surrounded by an element of the 3rd Infantry Division. And it really was our alive day. It was the day we were spared. They dismounted troops. They made a ring around us with an entire armored mechanized platoon. That includes weapons. That included dispatching the 2 guys who tried to shoot us out of the sky earlier. It was a blackout. I couldn't communicate. My wife and kids didn't know exactly where I was. But I'm here to tell you the U.S. Army keeps its commitments. And I've always felt bad for them because the many times I've gone over to Iraq and Afghanistan, there comes a point where they hand you over to the Army. NBC News says, here you go. And, you know, some young staff sergeant is in charge of my life in addition to his own and those in the platoon. You come back from covering these wars wanting to tell everybody how magnificent our team is. And you get out of America's urban areas and, you know, the big cities, New York, L.A., you find the kids who volunteer, put up their hand. After 9/11, you volunteer for our armed forces, you know what you're getting into. They are magnificent to watch up close.
And I'm pretty sure that you said on the show that night you communicate with at least one of the...
Oh, yeah, I stay in touch with them. It's been fantastic. It's been really rewarding. And I'm their weird friend from another wing of their life. But it's just been great. It's been great to know how they talk, what they eat, how they live, how they operate, how they view life. And I try to do enough volunteer work for veterans organizations to give back some semblance of what they've given me.
You mentioned earlier that obviously you weren't able to communicate with your wife and your two kids. I want to veer off in that direction right now. How proud are you that your daughter Allison and your son Doug have both essentially followed you into your world, into the world of TV? Your daughter, obviously an actress on Girls on HBO, and your son happens to be in this room right now. He works for us at Yes. The ability to see them follow their dreams. How proud are you of them?
Thrilled to hear that about my son because we had lost track of him for a few years. So I was overjoyed to come in here and see him. Yeah, we think we have just the two kids, but we're very proud parents. Our daughter, we knew pretty much at birth that she was going to be an actress. And so she's on this HBO show that is racy at times, and people always say to us, "What's it like to watch?" Well, it's if you knew, you know, your daughter's playing a character. If you've always known she was going to be an actress, it's no big deal. And we're enormously proud of my son, who has always slept and breathed sports, and especially the New York Yankees, to have a home here. It's pretty great. We're old enough now we can sit back, watch the second team take the field, and it's a terrific feeling to be equally proud of both kids for different sets of reasons.
You gave a tremendous speech at Elon College, the commencement speech for Doug's graduating class, and I watched part of it. And one of the coolest elements of it, and if anybody wants to find it, it's on YouTube, is that toward the end of it, you get to chuck a baseball to him. And I mean, if there's not more of a father-son moment than that right there, I mean, was that, as you said, I think that was kind of your personal, you were allowed to do that. If they wanted you to be the commencement speaker, that was going to be part of it.
It still makes me very emotional. The funny thing is, here I am, Joe Television. I kind of gave that commencement talk, speaking on behalf of the parents who didn't get invited, wondering what we would all want to say to our sons and daughters, but not mindful that it would ever live again. I wasn't thinking of the web. I wasn't thinking of YouTube. I wasn't thinking of anyone else but my son, and by proxy, all of those graduates. Elon is a great place. It's small enough to feel like we knew that college community and still know that college community. And our shared history, my son and me, is baseball. I have this old Mizuno catcher's mitt. It's the dark brown leather, and for the longest time, that was his target. That is the mitt into which he learned how to pitch. I was always his catcher. He pitched in baseball coming up, and I always worried, my God, the target's going to look different from my mitt. Is he going to be okay? Turns out he was okay. But baseball is as good as any father-son bonding mechanism. In fact, it's better than most.
I know Doug knows this website because I've worked with him, baseballreference.com. But if there was a newsreference.com, you've won 11 Edward R. Murrow Awards, 12 Emmy Awards. You've won the Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism and the George Foster Peabody Award, which is the highest honor in the industry. When I read those off to you, how meaningful is that to you, and what does that tell you about the career of excellence that you've had?
Well, two things. My son will tell you they're next to the stairs above our garage. And we keep thinking in the new wing of our house, maybe we should make a shelf for them. It's so outlandish. Jack, it's all, this came unannounced. None of it was really supposed to happen. It's out of hand. It's out of nowhere. I didn't think any of it would happen. So to be rewarded and awarded for the work I've done, being sent all over the planet by this company and this industry, is remarkable to me. Now, at the end of life, it's pieces of metal with plaques on the front, and you can't really melt them down into anything. It does make for an impressive list, and you're very kind to mention it all, and it's a nice bio. But at the end of your life, you had better be prepared to leave a real legacy. You want the people who've been kind enough to watch at home to say, he was our guy, and hopefully your family behind you is a living legacy of your time on Earth.
That's obvious, I think, that you have left a legacy both within the industry and with your family. But I'm going to lighten things up here as we end this. We all know what these are.
This
Topps
is a
baseball
JCTV
cards.
tradition.
This is a JCTV tradition,
I think we can
yes.
call this a JCTV tradition.
Thank you for saying that. If you would say, could you say that again?
This is a JCTV tradition.
Kevin, we're going to cut that off. We're going to use that clip. Brian Williams knows that this is a JCTV tradition. We open up these cards. Whoever has the best card gets to keep both packs.
All right.
And I want to tell you, Willie Colon, who's a 315-pound offensive guard for the Jets, I did this with him. He couldn't get the pack open.
I thought Regis struggled a little bit, but I wasn't going to say anything. I'm looking for future HOF. That's my definition of so far.
I got Jonathan Papelbon, but I'm not really bringing that one to the
See,
bank.
I can't even discuss Jonathan Papelbon.
Oh, I'm saving this one. This might fit into the classification of what you just
You
said.
may have a hands-down victory here. Papelbon was so
Clay
mean
Buchholz, Brett Myers,
to my New York Yankees.
Jose Iglesias, but I have two aces in the hole here.
I feel like reading these to the audience. I do not have a consensus. Here, let me see yours.
How about these two? Gary Carter.
Oh,
So I have
that's not.
I have a Hall of Famer, and I have what you were looking for, future Hall of Famer, Mr. Albert Pujols.
Well, one of these belong in my pack. Look at the pack I just handed you.
You know what? I'm going to throw me another pack because you seem so disappointed. We're going
an off-camera reference.
We're going to throw another pack
tradition,
and we're going to add under the phone. There's another pack right under the
phone.
phone. Oh, there's no other pack over there?
No.
Darn.
Don't you have people for this?
We ran out of packs.
Do they have people for this at JCTV?
Up, here we go. I had it.
We got another pack.
We got another
I'm not
pack.
going to tell the home audience where this pack was.
You know what? You have to beat Carter and Pujols, though.
Well, that's not easy. Those are two great names in baseball.
I'm very
I've got the
content.
Schmendrick brothers in that first pack. All right, here we go. Garrett Jones, Corey Hart. These are all nice people. Joe Morgan.
All right, now.
Joe Morgan.
All
I
right.
can still do his stance. I can still snap the elbow if I'm called upon. I just hit my elbow on the chair because I'm at an advanced age now. But Joe Morgan, I'll take Joe Morgan because that's all I got here. Joe Morgan, and it's one of the thick ones. It's one of that
what is this?
bonded paper. See, it's got gold leaf on it. I
I
feel better now.
You can have that.
I feel better
I still win
now.
the other pack, though, with Pujols and Carter, but that's a good comeback by you.
This was the Stargell era. This was that intense rivalry. Joe Morgan, man, the class of the game.
Do you want to open another one?
This is like a
How about one more?
Well,
we got one more to go.
Where does he keep the cards? Now I'm doing Reach. Now I feel like Reach. Where does he keep the cards, ladies and gentlemen? Jack Curry of JCTV just keeps producing packs of cards. All right, here we go.
Who else you got? You got any other
We
impersonations?
got Trumbo. No, I'm working on my Jack Curry. Brian Roberts. That's interesting.
Interesting.
A name in the news, Yankee fans. Brian Roberts.
Pending physical.
Pending physical. We're all pending physical. That's the definition of life. I'm 54. Every day is pending physical. You wake up and you hope everything works. Joe Thatcher. I don't like all the promotional cards we've got in here. Juan Pierre, Bryce Harper.
That's not a bad one.
No, but it's not Joe
It's not Albert
Morgan,
Pujols, yeah.
Mr. Harper. Josh Hamilton.
Not bad.
But, really, I think I'll go with Joe Morgan.
Joe Morgan, you still lose, but you did come back strong with Morgan.
Now, okay.
I mean,
one
Carter
of us had a byline in the New York Times. But you don't just announce the winner I mean, this is still...
But Carter and Pujols puts me over the top. If we were going to go Carter-Morgan, then
yeah,
that Morgan.
Combine, were they in the same pack?
Oh, wait, I did say best card, didn't I?
That's
Ooh.
pretty much the JCTV tradition.
Then you know what? That is the JCTV tradition, and he had a better career than Gary Carter.
You got to go with Carter of year 2, and I would go with Morgan out of Morgan versus Carter.
Then you know what? Brian, this is your lucky day.
Oh, man.
You're going home with an extra pack of cards.
How sweet is this?
Awesome to have you. We really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.